And speaking of propaganda, particularly in the West, this is something that was very interesting that came out the other day. Going back to COVID now, there's a couple of things I want to share on this before I get on to our last bit. Guy says here, this is from James O'Keefe, I probably shouldn't be saying this out loud. The National Institute of Health, right? National Institute of Health, the chief of it confesses that the COVID initiatives were completely made up. The Post quotes, I don't even know if these vaccines stop you from getting COVID. They don't. He adds, we're all going to learn, quote, we're all going to learn about vaccine safety when it's too late. As Pfizer and Moderna are just getting a bunch of money, vaccines were accelerated through the approval. We fly under the radar of being scrutinized. I don't think I have too much to worry about. Trump victory was also a worse for the NIH. So this is, speaking to an OMG journalist, apparently the head, the National Institute of Health, admitting that all of the COVID initiatives, all of the COVID stuff, was basically complete bunk. It was basically complete bunk, and everything was to do with money, and they put public safety second to getting more money and getting more influence. This guy's name, by the way, is Raja Cholan, Chief of Health and Data Standards Branch at the NIH. Here is what he had to say.
What do you think about the NIH now that you were working there?
Probably shouldn't be like saying this out loud. They might have funded Wuhan, a lab in Wuhan, China, to like make, and Pfizer and Moderna are just getting a bunch of money from it, from all these vaccine mandates.
Raja Cholan is with the National Institute of Health.
For other vaccines, like measles or whatever, you had to go through several rounds of approval, but these were accelerated through the approval.
Do you think that of like the mRNA stuff is safe with like early infected people with the myocarditis stuff?
Well, I think we're all going to learn when it's too late.
I think that's important. The lack of
How
effectiveness of the vaccine product.
Like the 6-foot rule. Remember that? Like that wasn't like based on any real evidence that did anything. It was completely made up.
Well, what do you think? Like happened like being real with it.
Raja then brings up politics, talks about which political party he prefers and what would happen to him and NIH under an incoming Trump administration.
I think it would be worse for the NIH. I think it would be better for a Democrat to be in office. We sometimes fly under the radar of like the really street guys. I don't think it would impact you. I don't think I have too much to worry about. That's not recording, right?
Oh, sadly it was, my friend. Sadly it was. But yeah, this goes to show the importance of journalists, not only with integrity, going back to the point where we mentioned that, as I said, journalists were aiding terrorists by keeping hostages in their houses. Journalists with integrity uncovering stuff, that this stuff had to be taken as gospel in 2020 and 2021. This stuff was preached like a gospel, and if you went in any way against it, you were treated as akin to a blasphemer, right? People were arrested. People were told they couldn't take their kids to parks. Meanwhile, you had Black Lives Matter rioting up and down the country in America. So truly, truly disgusting stuff. But now to learn, this stuff came out. This was shared to me recently. But James actually posted this back in November. So it's just truly, truly disgusting stuff. That they knew this all from the start. They knew this all from the start and conned us into it every single turn. And the incentives that were given to go along with this, when they knew that the vaccines weren't safe, they knew that people, you know, were cottoning on to what was going on. The propaganda effort was insane, right? With Stephen Colbert and all the rest of them. But this is something that appeared in Sky News. This was from November 2021, but I only saw it recently. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, that in order to bribe people into having the coronavirus jab, Vienna Brothel offered customers 30 minutes with a lady of their choice in exchange for it? Vaccine uptake levels in Australia are among some of the worst in Western Europe. Roughly 64% of Australia's population is fully vaccinated, and those who are unjabbed are now banned from visiting cafes, restaurants, and hairdressers, treating them a way a leper would have been treated in the old world, right? For actually doing the good thing and the virtuous thing, for standing up against what we now know is a medical tyranny and basically a bioweapon, is what it was, from many people are saying. But a brothel in Vienna provided COVID-19 vaccinations and gave up fucking, I can't even say this. I say this. Giving them a free voucher for those who take up the offer for 30 minutes. This just goes to show how disgusting the society has become, right? That you'll basically inject yourself with a bioweapon if you wouldn't before. Again, I don't know what this is, ladies and gentlemen. I am very sorry. There we go. If you give in to, your disgusting, sordid impulses and go and you'll have, 30 minutes of a quote-unquote great time with this person of your choice, or you just accept this bioweapon that we want to put into your arm. That's truly, truly disgusting. But it shows people were being bribed to take it with bacon rolls and all of this stuff. Are we really letting our standards for ourselves fall that low, ladies and gentlemen? Fun Palast was hoping to increase the vaccination rates as well as client numbers, which have dropped off because of the pandemic, according to Mail Online. In exchange for a jab, visitors get a free 30-minute session in a sauna club with the lady of their choice, quote unquote. And it literally says there's an image here, ladies and gentlemen, of a prostitute, presumably a prostitute, in a skimpy nurse's outfit with a face mask on, with a mock syringe in one hand and like what looks to be some kind of sexual object in another. I won't pull the image up on screen because obviously it would probably get the video taken down, obviously. But very skimpy, basically nothing on the bottom half. You can imagine the kind of outfit that it is, right? And yeah, it just goes to show the depths of depravity. The depths of depravity that we have sunk to, and the moral rot, the moral corruption that we've allowed to set in. When all of this stuff, people that were trying to speak out about this stuff were imprisoned, convicted, and silenced at every single turn, right? Because you had Debbie Hicks, for example. So this is shared by Dr. Dave Cartland on X. She was arrested, convicted, and fined for filming an empty hospital in December 2020. And this is also echoed in an article that was written by somebody that I interviewed a little while ago. I'll see if I can pull that article up now as well, just to talk about it before we finish off. Nicola Lund, when I spoke to Nicola, she sent me this article across, an article she wrote for the Conservative Woman outlet. Talking about the Dragon's Heart hospitals, the Nightingale hospitals. So April 13th, 2023, the second largest Nightingale hospital in the UK opened its doors, named the Dragon Heart Hospital, or Ysbyty Calon Draig. It was located on the pitch of the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. It was the only temporary hospital in Wales to be utilised, despite £166 million being spent on such Welsh hospitals, and building contract deals with 40 million subsequently revealed. Pardon me. So this is an example of the kind of thing we're talking about. This is not the exact one, but this is an image she included in the article of the entrance to a Nightingale hospital. So this is one that's in London. So this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. Imagine this temporary hospital that was set up on the field of the Principality Stadium, right? So what were these Nightingale hospitals and why are they so important, or why are we going to talk about them in a moment? Dragon's Heart was operated by the Cardiff and Vale University Health Board. Its CEO at the time, Len Richards, explained that the hospital name, chosen among suggestions from the general public, is inspired by the legend of the Red Dragon standing steadfast in the face of adversity. The project involved 5,000 planning hours, 650 contractors, 30 members of the armed forces, and $8 million in capital spending from the Welsh government. So, where is it? Here we go. The primary focus of this hospital was on patients coming to the end of their illness and those recovering to return home, allowing more capacity to become available with intensive care wards elsewhere for critical patients. Makes me think that this was just a massive tax scam, if anything, because we'll get into the video in a moment of how the hospital seemed to be empty anyway. The page also claimed that there would be patients on palliative care plans located at the site. This is what Nicola was told over the phone when her aunt, who had been admitted to the hospital after a fall in April 2020, was transferred to the Dragon's Heart for rehabilitation the following month. They said that her aunt had tested positive on admission to Llandau Hospital, despite having been housebound and home alone for 13 days. She was then shoved into a COVID ward and given a do not attempt resuscitation, also known as a DNR, instruction, and an end-of-life care pathway in her list of anticipatory medications. Notably, her hospital notes included the written clinical observation, COVID-19 onset consistent with bacterial pneumonia, demonstrating that medical staff did know for sure what to diagnose. However, it's getting towards the end of the article now, what her aunt said said about it was that the hospital was open, or this is not what her aunt said about it, but the hospital was open for less than 8 weeks. And then her 88-year-old aunt was discharged. Bear in mind, they were going to put her on a DNR, an end-of-life care pathway, right? 1 week before it was closed down on June 4th. She told me that a 99-year-old woman was discharged at the same time and came home saying, I think they're exaggerating it, referring to the pandemic. She told me how, on fine sunny days, some patients would be taken in wheelchairs outside into the sun, and that she passed hundreds of empty beds. Of course, these good news stories of old dears beating the virus and returning home completely evaded press attention. So, come back to this, ladies and gentlemen. Hundreds of empty beds, and think they're exaggerating it. Then you understand that Debbie Hicks, in 2020 December, was arrested, convicted and fined for filming an empty hospital during a time authorities told us that hospitals were rammed. Here is that video for you, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies, the video quality is quite low, but it's coming on screen for you now.
Empty hospital, look at it. This is a disgrace. I've never seen, oh my God, look at this. It is so dead. Please do not sit here. Yeah, not much chance of that, is there? All the people in our country desperately waiting for treatment, cancer treatment, heart disease. Look at this. Honestly, this is making me so angry walking around here. This is making me angry. Share the hell out of this, guys. Truth. Look at the truth here. Do not come back to this place with bullshit when there's a completely empty hospital I'm walking around.
Don't blame her for being angry. Don't blame her for being angry. I would be. I was taken in by all of it. I was taken in by the propaganda back then, right? I was taken in by it all, but tells you a lot when they have to imprison, arrest, convict, well, not imprison, but fine and convict people for saying this, for highlighting it, shows that everything wasn't on the up and up from the start. This was back in December 2020. This was back in December 2020. And yet justice is still not done. Justice is still not done. And this is why when people say that it was the largest cash, wealth, power transfer in history, or at least in recent history, it absolutely was. It absolutely was. Think about it. How come the hospitals were so rammed, right? Hospitals were so rammed, but yet there was more TikTok dances and everything from nurses and staff and everything on social media everywhere. How did they get all the time to do all these TikTok dances and trends and all of this stuff during what was supposed to be this massive pandemic that was going on? Hospitals were rammed. They were supposedly rammed off their feet, right? And the nurses and everybody else had all this time to do these TikTok dances and trends. Just goes to show how powerful the propaganda machine has been. That we didn't even place these basic things together.